Well, we talked with Democratic candidate for governor Joe Cunningham as he made his way through the upstate. Cunningham is trying to unseat our current governor, Henry McMaster, and became the first Democratic governor in South Carolina since 2003.
Yeah, we sat down with him before his speech at Furman University and asked him about what he's proposing and what he'll do if elected. I want to go and start with your platform. A lot of people have called these some Hail Mary proposals. You want to eliminate the state income tax. You want to legalize marijuana. You want to legalize sports betting. With the way the state house is, do you really believe any of that could get done if you become governor?
I think it could if we have proper leadership. You know, folks often ask themselves, like, how can we be united on some issues, like 90% of us, but then it doesn't happen in the political arena. You know, 90% of people believe we should at least have medical marijuana. You know, and so I get tired of hearing politicians saying they want to support the troops and support our veterans, but then when, you know, these heroes come home from overseas, oftentimes with scars that we can't see, they're not giving the access to medical marijuana. Instead, we force opioids on them. And I talked, serving on the Veterans Affairs Committee. This is critically important. And if Governor McMaster had shown any leadership and advanced that issue, I think Senator Tom Davis's bill could have gotten through and could have become law. Sports betting is another one that has bipartisan support. And if you have a governor who's leading on these issues, I mean, folks have been watching Governor McMaster's commercials for months now. And I challenge the viewers to think about one single new policy proposal he's suggested or what his plan is for another 4 years.
One of the main issues for voters is education. It's a top priority for so many. There are a lot of issues, a lot of problems. You mentioned it again, as you've said on your ads. You want to prioritize increasing the payment and the salaries and some raises for teachers. In addition to that, that won't fix any issue. That won't fix every issue. So in addition to that, what else do you have planned to solve the growing list of problems with the education landscape in South Carolina?
Well, you called it, a growing list of problems. This is after nearly 6 years under Governor McMaster. And I believe he's had his chance, almost 50 years, to fix our education system. And
so in addition to the pay raise,
yeah,
what do you have planned?
I think first and foremost, we got to keep teachers in the classroom. And so teachers leave the same reason most people leave jobs, because they feel disrespected or underpaid, overworked. And so in addition to the pay raise, we also have to look at who's coming behind them. How we incentivize people to go into this profession, which is a very noble profession. My oldest brother teaches special ed, this is his 20th year. And we proposed tripling the teaching fellowship scholarships, so that more people are incentivized. And we've also have to just overall treat our teachers better. I know a lot of teachers who simply just want to teach.
How do you do that from the governor's office?
You lead by example, and you let them know they have an ally. And the role of a governor is leadership, right? To lead by example, but also advocate for them. And teachers they feel beat down right now. But first and foremost, we've got to keep teachers in the classroom. And they have to know that they have an ally. We have to put education first. And because I can tell you about any issue, our businesses aren't going to want to move here or expand unless they have good schools to send their kids to or good roads to drive on. But our economy hinges on it as well. Basically everything can be tied back to education. And that first critical step, I believe, is showing that you want to be an education governor and supporting teachers. Because if you fail teachers, you fail our kids.
You mentioned too, businesses won't want to move here if the schools aren't good. BMW just made a $1.7 billion investment in Spartanburg County and also building a new facility in Woodruff.
Yeah.
It seems like businesses continue to move here, and not only move here, but continue to expand.
Well, it's great. It's great for BMW, and we're proud of those jobs. And I'd be a lot more proud if we had the same attention put on small and medium-sized businesses as well. And I'd ask the people watching who do payroll from their very own kitchen table. Has government helped you out? We're wanting to eliminate the state income tax. We're wanting to grow our economy. And, oftentimes with these larger businesses, sometimes it works out Other times, like we saw with the Panthers and that disastrous deal, they take us for a ride, and we lose millions of dollars as a state, and we come up short in the number of jobs that were proposed, and so there's no accountability with this governor and with this administration. And yeah, I'm fine with incentives if everybody holds up their end of the deal.
I'm also curious, you have two candidates for state superintendent with drastically different views and approaches of how to fix these education problems in the state. One is advocating for school choice and a massive supporter of vouchers. The other one has come out and said she is against vouchers. Where do you stand about vouchers?
Look, I'm a proud product of public schools, recognize the enormous benefit they provide. And, you know, when you look at here in South Carolina, whether it be private schools or charter schools or a combination of both. You know, I was over in Spartanburg last week touring Meeting Street Academy, doing some great things and cutting edge stuff. And I think that there's a lot that the public school system can learn and can hopefully adopt to strengthen our school systems. At the end of the day, though, we've got to reshape, you know, how we were funding our schools, but also where the money is going, and just like I said, the bureaucratic tape. A lot of teachers, I get tired of teaching to the test, preparing for the test. You know, I believe that this money should be kept in the public school system, but I also believe that there's room for improvement all around. And that.
So, are you for vouchers?
Again, like I'm not for taking money, public money, and directing it into private schools when our public schools are still lagging behind. You know. I'd love to get to the point where our public school system is improved drastically, and I think we can get there with a new vision and new ideas. But again, like South Carolina's remained at the bottom in all these different. And we talked a lot about teacher pay and retaining teachers. That's one aspect of it. Having Wi-Fi in some of these areas. You know, we have a lot of parts of the state that don't have access to Wi-Fi. And we can't teach our kids. And I remember being down in Beaufort County talking to a mother who drove her kids into town to park at the Bojangles and use the Wi-Fi to download the homework and then submit the homework with her kids. And then she'd drive home because she can't get access to it. So there's a lot of room for improvement in our school system and in our infrastructure too.
One of the biggest issues, especially for this election cycle, is abortion. Currently, there's a stalemate between the House and Senate. They have two different bills, and they disagree dramatically on both of those. We have the fetal heartbeat bill now in the hands of the state Supreme Court. I'm curious, do you support the fetal heartbeat bill?
No.
Where is the compromise then in the House and Senate with a bill?
I believe the compromise was as law was, you know, under Roe, yeah. Yeah, I think that was a compromise because I hear heartbreaking stories all the time from women, and you know, some of them who drastically wanted to be mothers, but had discovered a fetal anomaly at 18 weeks or 20 weeks, and they're faced with that very, very painful decision and very personal decision as well. And I think that there's a lot of passion on both sides on this issue, and there are competing interests, you know, for women to control their own bodies, and also a point of viability whenever the state has an interest in life. And we need to listen to both sides, but ultimately, I believe that we should prioritize women having the freedom to control their bodies under that past law, 20 weeks. And that's a strong contrast between where our governor is, because as you know, our governor has said he wants to ban all abortions and no exceptions for rape, incest, or the life of the mother.
But he signed the fetal heartbeat bill that had all that.
He did, but he's called a special session to make it even more restrictive, and he's not going to stop.
So if you were to become governor, you'd tell the House and Senate, leave it as is at this time, up to 20 weeks?
I would veto any further restrictions there that would come across my desk.